Hi everyone, Kathy Beltran with Sacred Dance with Trance. I'm super excited to have Brook Ryan, a psychic medium from New York, a fellow member, and a developing trance and physical medium with us today. So everyone, welcome Winter.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Kathy, for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so grateful for you to do this. I know in the beginning, when I first reached out to you, you were like, oh, why? I mean, I'm not sure if I should do it and this. I'm like, oh, yes, you have to. Because I think what it was when I finally saw you put a picture up and it was from your circle and you had your cabinet. I was like, oh my God, that's an awesome cabinet. And I will include pictures in the comments when you see this. But as soon as I saw that, I knew, oh, I got to reach out to Winter because I don't know everybody that's doing it, and, developing. So again, I'm just so excited and so grateful for you to do this because I really think that at your development, anybody's development doing this and sitting really helps members, beginners, intermediates. It doesn't matter because we all learn from each other. And that's the most beautiful thing, to share your experience. So, oh my God, I just got the goosebumps with that. So, okay. So what I wanted to do was start off with, usually what I do is just ask how everything started off for you. I know that people usually start off with mental mediumship. So everybody loves to hear how somebody got involved in mediumship. So I will let you start with that.
Okay. And yes, I am developing trance and hopefully physical, so I'm not an expert. But I do work professionally as a mental medium. And the way it began, I mean, as a child, I was wide open to spirit. I saw them, heard them, interacted with them. I just didn't realize I was talking to dead people because it was the same since you just kind of grow up with them since infancy. Then it shut down, textbook case. And about 2005, things started opening. Now, of course, in the interim, I had no exposure to things metaphysical. I didn't even know what a medium was. We just, we didn't really talk about it in my house. Not that it was prohibited. It wasn't a topic of conversation. So it kind of spun me around a little bit. And at that point, I'm an attorney and I had my own law practice and I'm a single mom, had 2 children. My youngest I adopted. And I also was very, very active in my community and humanitarian work. So there was a lot going on. So I started researching online, and that kind of led me to a spiritualist church. And then I met some people and I started studying it and sitting for development, and it kept going. So around 2008, I decided I would take a leap of faith. And I closed my law practice. I studied some more. And then I started around 2009, 2010. I really started pushing it more. And I'm enjoying it. So I have a very active mediumship practice, mental mediumship. I mean, just at the end of this month, I have 5 events, teaching 3 classes, sitting for trance a couple times, and I'm also a founding member and pastor of a spiritualist church. And I run a second business. But that's kind of where I'm at, and my 2 girls.
Well, I also wanted to bring up your website. So anybody wanted to connect more with Winter, it would be winterbrookspsychicmedium.com. So definitely check that out. And we'll definitely put that in the comments as well. So
super. And we're just in the process of kind of tweaking it. So
just growing.
I'm not computer savvy. I'm Bullwinkle the moose when it comes to computers. So, but anyway, in the course of my development, things happen. I would have experiences, which I would then, whether I was reading about it, because I finished the Morris Pratt, I don't know if you're familiar with that course of study. And I've gone over to Arthur Finley, I've gone to Banyan, I've gone to Omega, I studied with Tony Stockwell, a bunch of people. Anyway, but about 4.5 years ago, I kind of got the push to really look into the trance. I'd had little experiences here and there when I was doing chair healing at a church. I was working on a woman who lost her daughter who was 18 at the time. And the guys came in and they said, let the daughter heal the mother. So I just instinctively, I don't know how I knew, but I just kind of stepped away. The daughter's energy came in real close. And I think it was more like a trance. And the energy shifted as I was doing the chair healing to the mom.
Wow.
So that was one experience. Other times I went to a quick memorial service in town in front of Village Hall because I was a Rotarian, and our former chief of police passed. And I knew Bob. And right before I went, I was in my office getting ready to run over there so I wouldn't be late. And I hear sour milk. And that was like a code word, because one time I went to the restaurant where he was bartending and they served my daughter sour milk, and he was so upset. I get there in the middle of the ceremony, I feel his energy coming in. I knew it was him. So I was like, all right. And it was so cool because I saw his wife, who I had never met. But then the minute he kind of really stepped in so close that I wasn't really aware it was really him using me, mm-hmm. I saw her so differently. She was beautiful. I mean, I saw her through his eyes, or he saw her through my eyes, or kind of vice versa. So there was, and I was having experiences like that. And then the final one that gave me the push, I wanted to kill them. My nephew passed, and my brother doesn't particularly care for mediumship, and that's okay. He still has my business cards on his desk. If you want a recommendation for a medium, he'll give you my card. But it was his son, so I didn't want to do any mediumship. My nephew was around, and of course, I was also keeping myself wide open to make sure, my nephew was okay. And it was just like during the wake, I'm sitting there doing things like I start rubbing my sister-in-law's head. I've never done that, but he did, because the mom would step in and he'd rub her head. He was 6 foot something. Aww. And then at the funeral, in my attempt to kind of just open as wide as I could and fold them in just all kinds of love, because I knew they were going to have a very difficult road ahead of them, I just felt myself kind of move out of the way. I didn't mean to. And my father came in, and I'm like skipping through the cemetery singing in the rain, which I know that sounds kind of odd, but if you knew my dad, and he's been known to come into other mediums, so they're not, and I was like, all right. I didn't want to talk to him, of course, for a week. But other than, I said, okay, I've got to figure out how to handle this. And that's what pushed me to my first trance course, because it was, getting deeper and deeper. And it's not that I was afraid of it. It was just like, as I said, I have 2 businesses. I'm a single parent. My youngest one I adopted as a single parent. So there's no other, it's just me. I'm the whole family for her. And my oldest in a way too. So it's just, I got a lot on my plate, but I was like, this is what they do. They push me to, I have to figure it out. And so I went, and that I was really excited about it. It was Tony Stockwell, James Von Prague up in Omega. And I really enjoyed it. So that was it'll be 5 years this May. And I started the first year after that, it was hit and miss, because I'm sure most of anybody watching this, the hardest part of developing trance or physical is finding willing and able sitters. Mm-hmm. When I mean able, I mean people that can devote the same time, weekend, or in our case, we do it every other week, because, a lot of them have elderly parents, they have kids, they have jobs, other interests, so it's hard to find it. So it was about a year until that started coming together. And so now we do pretty consistently every other Monday. Wow. And 2 of them who were started off as my mental mediumship students and have become very good friends, they decided, I had mentioned somebody was sitting in a cabinet. They go, oh, what's that? So I explained it. So they decided to go off and make me a cabinet. As a Christmas present. And that's where I got my cabinet.
It is a very nice one too. Again, everybody check the comments, because it will be posted. So I love your story. I love, there's going to be a lot of people relating to this, because those moments in the beginning where you have spirit draw so close and you kind of not sure if it's you or them, actually, you're stepping aside. So I do get a lot of members messaging me, asking me, is this an experience of trance, or, you know, them coming so close? So they're going to relate to that. But I also wanted to bring up, you actually work with another member that I have interviewed, Sandy Ingham. So
Oh,
I
I love
definitely wanted to bring her up because it seems, it's so interesting to me. All the interview or the guests, they're connected somehow. And it's just so beautiful. I mean, I love Sandy Ingham. And for you guys both working together, and I guess she's coming back, so you'll be working again.
right.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to mention Sandy here with us. And I know that you do wonderful work with her.
I
So
know she told you the story, but do you want me to tell you the
yes,
story
yes, tell the story.
again? All right. For everybody, watch her interview. If you haven't, Sandy Ingham, she's great. She's a spirit artist. A couple of years, 2 years ago, I guess, in the summer, I come home for lunch because I'm only 10 minutes from my office. I have dogs and cats and let them out. And I'm sitting there and this guy walks in from spirit. And I knew it was a guide. And I don't normally have them walking in. I mean, except my mom and my dad, that's different. But he walks in and he says, invite Sandy Ingham to Northport to work with you.
Wow.
Now, I didn't even really know Sandy. We had made a friend request on Facebook because she was in a Facebook group that I was. I liked what she said. And then she inquired of me, like, who am I? And I explained I'm a medium. And she's like, oh, okay. So we had one conversation like 8-9 months earlier, and that was it. And then I'd see her make comments and she'd see me make, but we didn't really chat. So I didn't know her, but I was like, okay, I generally do what they asked me to do. So I reached out and she got all excited, and she ended up, she came over last May, and actually she was a hit. Everybody loves her.
Yes.
And we in turn became best friends.
Aww.
So, you know, I'm very grateful to her guide, Leo, and he's a character. At one point I had a radio show, so we had Sandy come and do an interview, or, you know, through the phones. And part of the show was I would take callers and do on, you know, over the air readings. And Leo was about because we were interviewing Sandy. Well, I start describing the decedent, and usually I'll put weight or height, you know, to do some evidential. And he starts giving me stones. And I'm like, Leo, they're not going to know what stones are. This is the U.S.
Oh my goodness.
That's his personality, though.
Wow. That's just wonderful, that you guys are connected, and that's how you met, and the work you do. So definitely, you know, when you have that event coming up, definitely share in their groups, because if people want to come see both of you doing that, definitely share that. One of the things I usually want to ask as well is, how long have you been developing sitting for Trance and Physical?
Well, I would say about 4 years. Now it was there was another year before that, but it wasn't consistent. And it wasn't consistent because I didn't have people that, you know, they could give me 6 weeks and then they couldn't, you know, life got in the way. So I would sit a little bit. I mean, I had some experiences. We invited that lady whose daughter had stepped in at the church. So it was actually kind of cool because she goes to a spiritualist church, and so the daughter stepped in. I was able to get up and give mom a hug with the daughter really strongly in my energy. And she said it was the first time she felt her daughter in all the times that she, you know, goes to for readings and sittings and things. So that was kind of cool. But it wasn't until about 4 years ago where the group started to I got people that could make the, oh God, what's the menopause? The dedication could come every other week. And honestly, I know you're supposed to sit with the same people every other week, but I don't know about the rest of you guys that are doing it, but I find that a lot of, you know, we have a core group of like maybe 6 to 10, but not everybody can make it every meeting because 5 of them have parents in their 80s and 90s. Things happen. Somebody gets sick. Somebody has to go away to visit mom down in Florida. So we have we're about 9, and if I get a core of 6, I'm happy. So I don't know if it's delaying things, but that's just the way it is because I can't, life is life.
Yeah.
But we even sat on New Year's.
Wow, that's dedication.
Nobody was allowed to go out the night before.
Whoa. That's pretty good. I mean, a lot of members and or guests say that getting the sitters to be there consistently is one of the hardest things. But you have a good number for that to, you know, even if they're not showing up. Even some members have said just to have extra sitters in there to kind of be used as use their energy. Some people say like a mediumship battery in a physical circle. So I think you're doing pretty good if you have that many people showing up, you know, at least consistently every other week. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we had 10, but one had to leave. I had to kick my daughter out. My daughter was sitting with us. She was 13, now she's 15.
Uh-huh.
And see, her I could control. I drove her there, so she made it. No, I'm just kidding. She wanted to be there. But she made tour choir. They meet on Mondays, so that's when we meet. And so my daughter got kicked out. I said, I'm really sorry.
That is so funny. I love that. So I know that you are interested in the trance and physical. Is there like a certain area that you're more interested in developing?
Well, I love Daniel Douglas Home. The fun part of me, okay, because I mean, I do a lot of mental. See, I made a mistake once. I was teasing with a medium, and I said, I can't get my trumpet up. You know, I was trying to make a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my humor. And I think it was taken the wrong way, like I don't have a reverence for it. But I do a lot of mental mediumship, which is healing.
Mm-hmm.
The healing, you know, I send out 4 or 5 nights a week. I send to people. I have a healing list. And I don't know, I like the physical, but I like all of it. You know what? I really can't because, for example, you know, I would tell you I love I want to work on the levitation. But actually, I want me to go up, not necessarily the trumpet, although I'd be happy if the trumpet goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, there's a story behind that. Years ago, when I was just starting to get involved with spiritualism and learning mediumship, I went to one of those circles that the church holds.
Mm-hmm.
I would go pretty consistently. Actually, I was going to 2 churches at once. And one night we were doing it towards the physical mediumship. So there was like 20 of us, and I didn't know, and they were saying that Daniel Douglas Home had come in, William Crookes, and Arthur Conan Doyle. I didn't know. I was new to this stuff, but the energy was so intense, and I heard them say clairaudiently, "Who wants to get on the table?" So I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, me." In my head, and I'm jumping like I'm visualizing myself out of my body, which I do a lot. And somebody else in the circle about 5 minutes later says, "Oh, I think they want Winterbrook to get on the table."
Wow.
I said, "Yes."
Oh my goodness.
But the teacher quote on facilitator said, "No." So that's kind of started it. I was like, "Oh, that would be so cool." I don't know if that would ever happen. But anyway, so that's the fun part of me. Would enjoy that. But on the other hand, a month or so ago, I had a student who had to go for very serious surgery. They had either fix her kidney or pull it during the surgery. And she's a young girl. So she came. I got an impression spirit said, invite her to trance. So, and the first part of it was really, it was the trance healing. You know, it was very different. I sat her in front of my cabinet, and then at one point I got up, and there's a new guide working with me. He's very strong, or he's making himself known more. And it was really intense. She thanks me, and I thank her. I'm like, I haven't had that experience where you're not able to come. And it was really cool. And so I can see his clothing, and my breathing changed, and everyone in the group heard the footsteps that were really heavy.
Wow.
It was really intense. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing the healing. I enjoyed doing the physical phenomena. I love the children. I have my little joy guide, Charlie, who I sent you a picture of.
Yes. Oh my
And
God.
that picture, just so if anybody looks at it, Sandy Ingham did a workshop. That was when she came last May, on doing spirit art. And one of the students of the workshop, who's not in my trance, so doesn't know Charlie, drew that.
Wow.
And then 2 or 3 of my regular sitters were taking the workshop, and we looked and like, Charlie.
Oh, I'll definitely make sure to put those pictures in the comments as well, so they'll understand. Wow, I love all aspects of the trance and the physical. So hearing these experiences that you've had, I mean, sometimes I'll forget that I'm actually interviewing, and I'll just get too lost in the story. So I really love it. I couldn't limit myself either to, I wouldn't want to do it all or experience it all, even just as a sitter to experience it. So it's amazing. So you've been doing this for 4 years. A lot of people, when I do the interviews, think that I'm only, like I said, and I can't remember if I said this already in the actual beginning of the interview, but I'm not just interviewing trance or professional trance and physical mediums. I'm interviewing members at different rates of development because everybody can connect and relate to that. So I know that your interview is going to help many, because every time I post an interview, my messenger goes crazy, and I'm like, oh, just put that in the put that under the post. Ask Ryan, or Ryan Winter. Just ask everybody else for that. So I'm super excited to hear more about your story and everything that's going on in your circle. Do you have a name for your circle? That's a new question. I just thought about that. Most people make names for them.
Yeah, that's because I've been trying to come up with a name. That's why the spirit just nudged you. I guarantee it, because that's not on your possible questions list.
Yes.
I'm trying to come up with, we were going to do it a couple months ago, but again, like many people, my life is kind of crazy. So I was like trying to ferret out other circles' names so I don't duplicate.
Yes.
But no, I haven't come up with a name,
and I'm sorry that I asked you that. It just popped into my head. I'm like, what? Okay.
No, it's fine, because you know what? Maybe there's somebody else out there thinking, oh, they didn't name their circle. Because people told me a year or two ago, oh, you can name your circle. Okay, but then, I get busy working and kids, and I forget about it. And then we're so excited to do the trance when we meet that I don't really, we want to start exactly at 7:30. I forget to mention it. My head's like this. I don't, and then we have it, and when we're done, most times I'm just like this. My energy is like all over the place. So I have a bad memory to start. So
that's me too, So I know that when you said when you are, and I'm kind of going off a little bit because I'm thinking about something you said. When you're done with your circle, after you're done, do you notice that your energy is completely depleted, or how? I mean, some people say yes, some people just say no. They just got this extra burst of energy after you sit.
Okay. Every time is different. Normally, like when I first stop, I'm still sitting in the chair. I'm not fully back. I got to give it, a couple of minutes. And the deeper I'm going, it takes a couple of minutes at the end. And I'm not in deep trance yet. I'm not unconscious, as they say. But I get to the point, and we're doing this about a year and a half now, because I guess it's very difficult when you're the one in the cabinet, because my sitters are telling me what's going on, and I love them to pieces, and I trust them to anything. But I don't know if they're really seeing what they're seeing, right? There's that skeptic, and we haven't been able to get it on film. So where was I going with this? Some nights I know, when Daniel comes in, I feel his energy come in, and then I feel my energy just rise, and I lose complete feeling from like the solar plexus area down. It's almost having the epidural when you give birth. Sorry, men. That's the best way I can explain it. And I'm in my head, I'm over here, is the best way to explain it. And I have my guide, Rabboni, and they're like, all right, move your toes. Because I'm not trusting it, right? So I go to move my toes. I don't know where my toes are.
Wow.
There's nothing. And then, but I can kind of hear what they're saying. Not that I may remember it. And they're like, because they say, oh, my legs disappeared or this. But I think it's their, I don't know.
You know what?
We're sitting in the dark with the red light. And but that does happen. So when I do those, and then a couple of weeks ago, we had a really good sitting. And I just want to say this because I've seen a lot of people stress, you got to keep it the same all the time. I've seen some mediums apparently wear the same clothes without washing them.
Wow.
I'm so grateful I'm not sitting with them. But here you go. It was a really bad night for as far as getting everybody there. It was right before Christmas, it was the 18th. So I was only going to have 3 people there. And I said, all right, so we'll just sit in the power, sit in the energy, right? And not expecting anything. And then on top of it, one of my sitters is a big animal rescue person. She's a rehabilitator. She gives chemo as a profession to animals as a vet tech. So she has rescued 3 rats, and she brought one of them.
Oh my God.
So I have a little trepidation about rats. I love animals, like dogs, cats, parrots. But the rat, but I was just like, oh, you want to hold him? And I'm like sitting there getting ready to do the trance, and I'm like, yeah, it's a soul. Okay.
Oh my God. You are brave.
All right, so that's the setup, right? So that should have kind of flustered me a little bit. Plus, we only had 3 of us out of our normal 6 to 7. It was one of the best nights.
Wow.
It for phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
And they said there was like this big flash of light. My computer monitor went on because we do this in my office. So in the back but I turned the computer off. It went on by itself.
Wow.
At the end, when they told me I got out of the, when we were breaking up, I went, no, it's still off. And my chair moved. One side of it moved. And I had, again, when they're doing that, I don't feel anything from the waist down. So and the chair is very large and it's very heavy. And it only moved one side between 3 to 5 inches because it started straight and it wasn't me. It couldn't have pushed off.
Oh my
and I couldn't even feel my feet. Daniel came in, he does work with us. And when his energy came in, and when we finished, they pointed out your chair moved. And I was like,
oh my goodness, that is exciting. To come out of it and then tell you that. Wow.
Yeah, because I had no idea. I mean, I know because they tell me they see the chair moving, rocking. They tell me they see they feel like they see it rising. But again, when I hear those things, I'm double checking and I don't feel anything from the waist down. But we haven't been able to get it on film or anything. I went and bought a red light camera for one of these paranormal people, but I don't know how to work it. So we haven't been able to like film it. So I don't know. But that was for me because there was no way I could have physically, if I had pushed off, the whole chair would have pushed back. This was diagonal. It was angled.
Wow.
And it's a heavy chair. So I was pretty stoked. So there you go. I was a little, there was a rat in the room. And then during the whole seance, the rat sat on her arm and watched me, she said.
Oh my goodness.
And as soon as the seance was over, that's when the rat wanted to run around her shoulders and everything.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And the children love it, the spirit children, because we've had a puppy come, we've had, when she's rehabilitating an animal, sometimes like baby birds, they have to be fed every 2 hours. So she can't leave them home and come. She's got to bring them. And the little spirit children come in. And I taught, I bring them through and Charlie, and they get all excited with the critters.
That sounds amazing. And so you have the actual physical animals there, and then spirit children come to play and do whatever there.
Yeah. Because it's, it's like you say, have the toys there, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, imagine having little animals. Spirit children love their children. They have that their children personalities. They love animals.
And I do have the picture of Winter with the rat. So that will be posted as well. So, oh my gosh, yeah, you're very brave. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. But
let's hope she doesn't bring a snake, though.
Oh God, no. You know what? A lot of members some people within the comments, within the groups, they talk about that energy, not feeling it from the solar plexus down. So, as you're, telling me these things, these are what other members have brought up that they too have experienced. So that's really cool that, you're saying what they're saying as well. Okay, so let's get back into this one. How important is, a lot of people talk about sitting in the power. And some people, call it singing power. Some people call it meditation because they're just so used to saying it that way. Do you find that it's important while you're developing to sit and do that?
Yes, and I quite agree with you. I think it's sitting in the power is pretty much like meditation, although some forms of meditation are a little different. But yeah, absolutely. I try to do that every day. I don't get it done every day. But
I mean, I know, yeah, I do as well, try to most of the times, so my next question would have been having this involuntary trance experience, but you actually answered that when having, at the funeral or the wake, having that energy come up very, very close. So a lot of people ask me that question, and I think that's why when you were telling me about your experiences of being introduced or being pushed down that path.
It happened. I mean, like with my nephew, before that happened, I got sent to a grocery store one night. I usually go to the other grocery store, but somebody called me, they needed stuff, and all of a sudden I had to go to the second grocery store, which I never go to. And who's walking down the aisle not looking so good, but my nephew, cold. But so I went up to him, and then as I'm talking to him, all of a sudden I went out. My dad came in, and I'm sitting here, and he's like, Ben, it's me. It's your grandfather. And Ben, my nephew's face.
Oh, I bet.
He turned around. He's on NyQuil, so he was half out of it. And he starts taking off. So I had to call my brother. I'm sorry, Dad came through. But that's what I'm talking about, And I've had other situations. I was in my office, and I had a phone call, and the gentleman on the other end was rude. So my secretary is sitting there, and all of a sudden she's like, Winter, I watched you, and the face changes, the voice tone changes, and my dad came through. And he's done that in a deposition.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. And he's done it to other mediums I've watched. It's pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So let me ask you this. Do you, in your circle, do you receive guidance? I always ask this question because I think it's important. In your circle, do you receive guidance about your circle from spirit?
Yes, they'll come in. Sometimes they discuss what's going to happen, or they'll, say more energy, things like that. And they talk about different situations that might be happening at that point.
Okay, that's good. Do you feel like every medium has the ability to develop trance on their own? I mean, is it something that every medium can do?
I don't know the answer to that. The question, can somebody develop it on their own? Well, that's what Sandy did. So there you go.
Yes.
Personally, I wouldn't want to develop it on my own because I need the validation that it's actually happening, like most of us do. But I've been to like a workshop, and like trance was going to be touched on. And there's over 100 people there, and 95% of them were all afraid they were going to get possessed.
Oh my God.
Most of them were working mediums, and I was just shaking my head or scratching my head, as they say. So I would imagine, there's people that wouldn't want to have that strong of a blend. They can't give up control. My dearest friend, who's in spirit now, one of my mentors, best friend, big sister, because I can't say she's mother-like, she'd kill me even if she's in spirit now. She was an awesome medium, Patricia Duffield, and she had the ability to go into trance. In fact, she was in trance for an hour and a half with me once on the phone, which was the longest she'd ever done. She didn't like it. She didn't want to do trance.
Wow.
So there you go. So it wasn't an area she developed. I mean, she was quite capable, and it even like an hour and a half in trance.
Yeah.
So that's, so I would imagine certain people probably don't want to go that way. They have control issues. Me, I have an insatiable appetite to experience things. So I want to know. I mean, one of my pastimes, it sounds so odd, but I like to go to the zoo and blend with the animals. Well, I want to know what it feels like to be a bear. I want to know what it feels
Well,
like.
that is really cool. It is
You
really
know,
cool.
I did an owl. Spirit sent me to do blend with the owl once. I have neck issues. I have loss of rotation and mobility from accidents, and I'm blending with it, and it was almost like full on. And I didn't realize that the owl turned its head 180 degrees, and my neck cracked.
Oh my gosh.
And I had more range of motion that afternoon. It was really
Hey,
cool. So everyone's like, "Oh, you got a new chiropractor," but I'm like, "Yeah, but I got to drive all the way to the Bronx."
I've actually done that exercise of just trying to blend with like the birds around me sitting outside. So yeah, that's fun. I love that. Um, so I'm listening to some of the experiences that you've had. I know that you're interested in trance speaking, the speaking aspect. Am I right? How does that feel when you're sitting and in the beginning, if you can remember, or can you share an experience about that for your circle?
It took me a while to actually speak. They'd be yelling in my head, "Speak, speak," and I was a little shy. I was more comfortable just letting the faces come.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm speaking more. I did my first sermon a couple months ago. I went and did it trance. So it's good. I mean, I've been doing, they would step in when I would be doing public events, like at the Eyes of Learning, and I've been doing my meditations, like they just flows through me. And everyone mentions that they're a little bit stronger meditations than a lot of it's because it's not me saying it, it's the energy coming through me. So I've been doing that for a few years, but I was just, I guess, lack of self-confidence or a little hesitant. I'm fine doing your uncle said this, and
Yes.
we all have to build that up. But I've moved ahead, and I've done 2 sermons now because I'm pastor of a spiritualist church and a founding member. So I decided to push the envelope a little bit.
Well, you know what, how you said that, like you'd hear it, and then finally you started to, most people say that when they first start, they're afraid to start speaking because maybe they drop back in and out. But everything that I've heard is that you should just start. Even if it's like one word, because you have to have a beginning of something. Did you fight that at first, just allowing that information or allowing that the speaking to come through?
Well, yeah, when I sit in my group, I was a little reluctant because I was trying, because I think too much, because I'm a lawyer, because, I'm a woman, I don't know. I was concerned I was going too far into the mental because I'm aware of it, of who's stepping in before they're coming. Like, and then all of a sudden the sitters will say, "Oh, I see so-and-so in front of my face." Mm-hmm. They've already made their presence known to me up there. So and then I get validation, kind of like I hear, and then I go back out. Mm-hmm. So, I was just a little hesitant about letting them talk because I wasn't sure if then I would shift back into mental.
Yes. Well,
I've been doing it because my sitters like it when they talk, and I like it better when I get the faces. I like that and all the funky feelings.
Oh my goodness. So I know you have a cabinet. Do you use your cabinet every time in circle? Is it necessary? A cabinet necessary for physical mediumship?
No, I've heard a cabinet is not necessary for physical mediumship. I like sitting in an upright coffin, so I use my cabinet. Plus, I've heard, that's a joke. I'm working on the comedy.
You're good.
It helps condense the energy. So I always figure, I'm a little person. I don't know how much energy or if I'm tired. So I figure any tool that's developed to help us develop would be helpful. So I do like sitting in the cabinet, and since it's, supposed to help us build the energy, I use it. But no, you can sit everybody in the group with a table in the middle and develop physical. Depends on which way you want to go.
There you go. Do you ever just sit in there outside of circle? to like build more energy up? I mean, that's an interesting thing. Some people say they do, some people say they don't.
No, I sit in the chair.
Okay.
See, the thing is, I have a, we break it down. We put it up for trance,
Mm-hmm.
and then we break it down because this all occurs in my office.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I hold the church services. I have my private clients, my classes. So I can't leave it up because I need the space.
Oh, yeah.
So it's mobile. But my chair's there. So I do sit in my chair. And if anybody else sits in my chair, I throw my coat on it so people won't. I don't know. Isn't that weird? I feel like.
No, you're kind of making the sacred chair. It's, sacred. So.
Yeah, but I should share, right? Some people, so I let them sit on the chair and they feel the energy. It's really cool.
Wow.
So, and as far as building the energy up in the room, I know it's a different type of energy, people will tell me, but I always figure everything comes from love. So I do my private clients, which is, mental mediumship, it's healing. It's healing for them. I do healing work there, teaching, which is healing. And
the energy must be beautiful there because building up all that energy there,
Actually, it is. I've had people just come into my office that they got the impression they were at the grave site of their loved one and they got moved. They didn't know me. They're like,
wow.
It's on my office one thing. Not to come in for a reading. They just
go
in and sit. Okay.
I think that's beautiful. I know that I can come into an area and I can feel that energy, whether it's really good and uplifting, and then where you don't want to be there. So I can just imagine how much energy and that's building there while you're sitting as well and doing your work. How long after, if you can remember, I know you've been doing for like 4 years. Can you remember how long it took before you started to experience any phenomena?
Well, right off the bat, we were getting, as soon as we did the red light, like within a couple of months, we were getting, I guess it was overshadowing though,
Mm-hmm.
the faces.
Wow.
And, you'd see the face in front of me and the eyes were opening and looking. So that was like right off the bat. I was bringing through the joy guide, Charlie. And and then it took about a year before I would start letting the different personalities coming through to speak.
That's actually really good. That's actually really good because some people that I've talked with are, they've been sitting for, 8 months or a year. Some people even longer than that. They still haven't received, any or have experienced that. But then some people say they get it right off the bat. So I always love to ask that question.
Yeah, but it was like, I think it was more like overshadowing,
mm-hmm.
which happens in the light anyway. But I don't know. That's me because I'm not on the other side watching, so I don't know what they're seeing.
And you know what? That's
horrible. I should trust them, right?
That's the hardest part is because, when I interview people that are sitting for physical, they're like, well, I can really rely on what information my sitters are telling me about because I'm not really there, so, but I love it. And you do have to trust your sitters and your members of your circle. And so, and then having that skepticism too, even when they're telling you like, well, did it really happen? But that's the beautiful part of the energy of the circle is knowing and then rejoicing and being excited about all the experiences that you're having with your teams, so I love it. I love hearing everybody's experiences. So have you found in your circle harmony being an important factor with members?
Yeah, but we've always had harmony. We're very loving. A lot of, the people that were in the circle were first my students and then mental mediumship. And then we became very good friends. So we've never had the experience where somebody was not harmonious. I guess, okay, maybe my daughter and I, because she got scolded for not doing her homework. So, and then I have another mother and daughter. But they love each other. But other than that, that would be,
Oh yeah.
But other than that, we're just very. But when we got into, she set everything up, and we were there for trance. So yeah, we might go home but that would have been the most disharmony, and I don't really know how it would work if You
Yeah,
didn't
I don't
have.
think it would. I think a lot of members, they ask, like they're trying to form a circle, their own circle, and they experience in the beginning, strangers coming together, energy's not mixing right. They might have, things like that. So they do ask questions like that. Hopefully, people that start their circles are as lucky as you and have that automatic harmony. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, well, don't forget, they were my students in my mental mediumship development. So we'd already had our energies blended
Yeah.
a little bit,
Oh yeah. No, that's perfect.
So it wasn't that they came in cold.
Yeah. You knew. Yes. No, that's perfect. I mean, God, I wish more people could have that experience, forming a circle and being connected like that already. With your circle, what would a typical sitting be like? Do you start out singing? Is there music being played? That type of thing.
I start out with a recorded meditation because, I do those meditations beginning of my classes, and I recorded a few, and we'll listen to one because I feel very indebted to these folks that come out and dedicate their time to come and help. I mean, it's beneficial for them, but it's to try to develop me. And I feel very grateful. So I want to always give back. And I know that they get a lot out of having that meditation. So we start with a 15 to 20 minute meditation that I've recorded just to kind of help them heal whatever stress or agita they had over the last couple of weeks. And then from there, I'm already sitting in the cabinet, hopefully going out. And then they'll start with the singing.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
But I know some circles you just start singing and but they find it helpful and healing to have that meditation. So that's why we do that.
Yeah.
It's my way to give back. Because that's, I had the hardest time. I spent the last year or so trying to ask very seasoned or experienced mediums, should I be doing this? I didn't want to waste my sitters' time. Maybe I should be focusing my energy, even though I love it, elsewhere, because I felt very badly that maybe I lack whatever's there to develop it, and they're giving me all this time. So,
oh no, I think that's beautiful to do a meditation prior in the very beginning of it.
Yeah, it helps them, and they like it. So that's how we start. Then we do the singing, and then we have all the
things.
phenomenal.
I love to ask that because some people have different ways they do it, but usually there's either a meditation or singing involved, or both. So that's awesome,
Well, they'll sing throughout, because then when they stop, because I'm bringing somebody through, or the faces start, then the energy kind of gets low. Then they start singing again. So
they're always, as they're observing you and watching you and sending their love and their energy, if they notice that your energy starts going low, they just start singing.
Sometimes the guide comes through and says sing.
Wow, awesome. Okay. Excuse me. How important, and I asked this question because you brought up you're at a place, and I can't remember if you said it was a workshop, and how many people out of 100 were afraid they're going to be possessed. One of the reasons why I do the interviews is I want to help people take away that fear, but I also find that some people decide that they want to do, like, intention to me is important, when you sit, the reason why you're sitting. But do you see prayer and or protection important in that at all as well?
Yeah, I think so. I always have white light surrounding my office anyway.
Yeah.
And personally, God bless you. I generally start the morning with a quick prayer, even if it's the spiritual healing prayer. And then at night, as I said, 4 or 5, if I'm home, I'm usually working 3 to 4 nights a week. So the other nights when I'm home, I always spend 5 or 10 minutes sending out healing, and I connect with the divine and the prayer. So I'm doing it every day. I have very strong intention, I have very strong determination and will. So when we're sitting, even when I have my students there, the intent is only known communicators can come through. Other ones are welcome to sit and hang out and learn, but only known and identifiable. And the same with the trance, only the ones that my guides are going to bring through.
Well, okay. Well, I think I do agree with you. I do the white light. I love the white light and the intention and then the prayer. So when you first started, and I always say this and everybody's like, okay, wait, let me try to remember this. Okay. When did you know? Okay. I'm thinking that you might have answered this one already. Let me go with this. When you first started to blend with spirit, and we can go back to mental, that's fine too. How did it feel to you blending with spirit? How did, everybody describes it so differently. Can you describe how it felt to blend with spirit, with your control, whichever way you want to?
It felt good. It felt expansive. It feels differently depending on who you're blending with. When you're blending with the departed loved ones that used to be humans, it's a different feel than when you're blending with ascended masters, higher guides. It's a more finer vibration. My guide is very expansive. Not every dead person is. But like Chief Bob Howard, blend my eyes became his and his eyes became mine, looking at his wife. So personally, I enjoy mediumship, whether I'm doing, I also do Reiki or spiritual healing, any of that, because I usually feel better. I have some physical issues from accidents I mentioned. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in discomfort or pain when I'm working, that kind of eases. So I always feel better. And the one thing they wanted me to, my dad's always coming, was coming through to encourage me to do the trance. And partly because it would help me feel better physically.
So do you think that when you were doing the trance, so do you feel like the spirit doctors were there doing something with you?
Well, just the mere fact of blending with spirit, particularly with the guides, the higher energies, mm-hmm. like our helpers, you feel better physically because your awareness is moved out. You're not like so into your physical body so that you're not feeling. I think Sandy talked about it. She had issues and then when I go to the dentist, if it's going to be painful, I know I just remembered you're the reason I'm talking about dentists, right?
Yes.
You had that fear. Okay. So, I push myself into the lobby because they have to numb my gums in order to clean my teeth. I'm very super sensitive.
Yeah. And
I found out, my daughter just found out she's the same way. She had to go get her teeth cleaned, my older one. So I said, yeah, we get it from your grandfather. So, but if I push myself, go sit in the lobby, I'm not feeling it as much. So when you're working in trance, you're kind of pushing your awareness so you feel better. And I mean, there have been situations where when I used to do the chair healing at the other church, I do 5 or 6 or 7. It was like, boom, boom, boom. I'd be horrible with allergies in April, right? So I'm not sick, it's just allergies. So I start doing the healing, nothing. No sniffling, no coughing, nothing. And then when I finish and I go back to my seat, the sniffling started, the coughing started from the running, the nasal drip. Uh-huh. But for that moment that I was working as a conduit for spirit,
then you're fine. Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Wow. I can actually relate. So with the dentist, yes, I'm finally being okay with that now. So I can go in there and leave if I want, like mentally leave and check out. But with birth, like when I could give birth, I've done it for, 4 kids. So what I've noticed is that I would leave. And if anybody talked to me, I would get very upset because I would come right back and I would say, just don't talk to me. Just let me go until it's time to have the baby, And so I actually do that on airplanes too, because I don't really like to fly, but I typically do that. I just could never do it at the dentist for some reason. Now I seem to be fine now. So it's awesome. But I love that because they, you know, a lot of the guests have said when they're working with spirit, whatever, if they had a cold before they started, they were fine. The moment they were done working for spirit, then it all came back to them, you know? So, but yeah, that's beautiful. Can you or explain what a trance control is, or a spirit doctor, or, you know, whatever you might call your guide coming in that's always there?
That's it. One of your team, one of your guides, they're going to step in and run the show.
Okay.
And I think we work with different ones. And I have this new one coming in that he made his presence known. It's because it's different than Ramon. Everybody in the room were kind of blown away by him because they know who comes through me. And so now remember we chatted initially, is it better to get validation?
Yes.
Research. So I'm doing both though. So he did that when I had Louisa there for the healing, because she was leaving at 4 a.m. the next morning for the surgery. And I saw his big boots, and I mean his heavy walk. My breathing changed. It was really, you know, a couple of people thought it was like Leo because they hadn't experienced. I'm like, no, it's not Leo. That's Sandy Ingram's dude. And I had a friend of mine who runs a small venue, has nothing to do with my trance, email me out of the blue. She had a vision of a man's arm coming out my right ear with white glove, white shirt, and white button. But she only saw the arm. And I'm seeing the guy's boots, and then I'm seeing what looked like to be a pirate's costume.
Wow.
So the next time we sat, we started with him coming through, and my sitters, whether they're seeing it clairvoyantly or whatever, they were seeing, you know, he was talking through me, and he came out with a lot of information about himself. Mm-hmm. And I should care. The name was coming through, and I panicked, and I thought I was going into mental. And so he said I blocked him, and I probably did. Mea culpa. So then I've done, you know, so I had that woman that didn't know anything about what I do, and she emails me out of the blue. She had a strange vision of me with an arm stick. So she thought it might be an entity.
Oh.
I'm like, no, it's a new guy who's working with me. And so I knew it was 1870. I was in one of my meditations. I don't know if you do this, but I go on the ice rink when I meditate about physical and trance mediumship. I'm in the gymnasium doing gymnastics when I'm working with mental.
Okay.
And so I'm on the ice rink in my vision or meditation, and I hear him. I'm like, "You're Russian? You're Russian?" And he's like, "No." And it turns out he's Prussian.
Ooh.
Now, and then he said Baltic, and I said, "Oh, I get this all backwards because the Baltics are down by Albania, and I didn't know where the hell Prussia was. I had to look it up. My memory and history. I'm better at American history. So apparently, the Prussia, that used to be Germany, and they wore the heavy boots and the military and colorful costumes. Like I thought he was a pirate, and somebody else saw his hat, and they had the white gloves and the white shirt. I took up pictures, images, because I heard he was from 1870 was when that was his heyday, and Prussia extended up to what's now up by Estonia, and so up there, that is Baltic. So it's kind of cool, and his name is an R sound, but I haven't got that yet. Because again, it's just been the last month and a half that he's really, but it's going to shift. And I'm excited because I guess maybe I needed a shot in the arm because I wasn't sure. As I said, I've been asking a few well-known, experienced mediums to kind of assess me. Do I have what it takes to develop physical? Should I be doing this? Because if I were just going to develop trance, you know, I could do it with 1 or 2 people, where I kind of shoot for the 6 to 10 to have the energy in the room. Although Spirit showed me, thank you, Spirit, that we had a lot more phenomena with just the 4 of us. So there you go. Wow. You would think you'd need more peoples.
Oh my goodness. No, that sounds amazing to see that and figure out the, kind of do a little bit of research and then hear this information coming too. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's from here. I'm thinking it's a pirate and it's actually this guy from this time period. So that sounds amazing. I love hearing that experience. Did you notice with, with the different people that come in, especially your regulars, the regular team, do you know if each one has like an energy signature, or do they just say, hey, I'm here? Do you feel a difference from each one that comes in? And does it stay the same every time?
I have some core characters, I like to call them, or team players.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes yes, sometimes no. Raboni is my main guide.
Mm-hmm.
He's with the mental too. I have Charlie, who's just mainly with the trance and the physical. He's the little boy that you have a picture of.
Oh, yes.
I have Audrey Hepburn works with me.
Awesome.
I love her. And I know that sounds kind of like cheeky. That's the English term, right? But she actually showed up years ago at Pat Duffield's when I was still sitting for just, straight mental mediumship development. Mm-hmm. She came in, Pat saw her a couple times. So I didn't know. And then with the trance, all my sitters see her. The face comes over. And I love her. She's like the only person I put down as inspirational on Facebook. But so I have her, and then Daniel Douglas Holmes comes in, and I know his energy. His energy, it's it's just strong, and it, when he steps in, and I feel his largeness, and I just feel like just heavy, strong, physical type energy. When I'm channeling or trancing the higher guides for philosophy, mm-hmm. It's more finer vibration. I can feel the crown chakra go wide open. And my sitters, this is where we run into a problem, because some of them are also clairvoyant, not all of them. But they'll see it, they see the rays, and then if they see the spirit lights and all that good stuff. So I always wonder, but when 5 or 6 of them in the room are seeing the same thing.
Oh yeah. You have to trust that, especially if they're all seeing the same thing.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh wow. Now you mentioned a skating rink. So one of the questions I asked is, where do you go? Do you know where you go when you kind of go? Do you know where you go? Is that the skating rink that you're talking about, or the rink?
No, the skating rink is when I do my meditation.
Okay.
And I blend or meet with my guides by myself.
Okay.
I lay on the couch. I'll go into a skating rink, and some people go to a house. I don't know. So, and then maybe someone will come in and ice skate with me.
Wow, that is really cool. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, well. And then I run from the skating rink. I'll go into the gym and do gymnastics, and that usually pertains to my mental mediumship. Wow. That's just me. Mm-hmm. When I'm in trance, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I surrender. I'm trying to get out of the way, and I just feel like I sit in the bleachers. Like I feel like there's bleachers, and I sit, and Pat Duffield is with me a lot. That was my dear friend.
Yes.
Not that it's pertaining to this topic, but I'd love to tell you when I saw her in the ICU when she was getting ready to leave, and she comes flying in. I'll tell you that story sometime. That was really incredible. But so I'll have her, or this. I see Audrey Hepburn, and then I'm kind of not seeing anything, but I'm hearing them saying, "Oh, a woman, short hair." It's Audrey. So I'm like in bleachers. I put myself in bleachers.
Bleachers, wow. And I like to hear this because some people say they go to their own room. They have their own special room. Some people say, I have no idea where I go. I'm gone. I don't even know. So I love asking that question.
Yeah, I tried the room. I tried to pretend I go to sleep to try to get because my mind goes. I'm one of those. And, it didn't work. What seems to be working is sitting in the bleachers with Pat or somebody I know.
When one of the questions I usually ask is, do you feel a part of us remains while we're in trance? Like some people say they remember, they hear things still. They still hear things. They hear the sitters, and sometimes some people say they don't hear nothing. They're just gone. How is it for you? Do you hear stuff still?
Yeah, I haven't done deep trance where you're completely out. Um, I'm not there yet. And as I said, there's an awareness. Sometimes I'm blending out and then I'm back and then I'm out again. So I don't know what's going on in those blips, and even when that's why I test it by, they'll say, when they take control of the lower half, they'll tell me, wiggle your toes. And I don't know where they are. I can't find them. They're not, I'm like, they should be there, but it's almost like I'm drugged.
Yeah.
So it's just to tell me, okay, I'm getting to the right spot. That's my failings. That's not spirit, but it's a process. I understand. I've only been doing it 4 years. So there are moments that I'm completely gone, but then I'm back. So I can't register time. I have no idea how much time passes, because that's generally one of the first things I'll ask when I come back. I'm still sitting in, especially if I've gone deeper, where I'm still not feeling confident enough to stand up, because then I'm not completely back. It's right. I'll say, well, what time is it? Because I'll have no idea. I've lost,
Wow. I think that members that have said, I mean, I want others to understand is that people think that when you go into trance, you have to just go straight to a deep trance. But there's so many different layers and levels. And so being able to hear at different levels and know, and then being tested, or your team testing you, hey, can you feel your toes? I think it's important to share that and ask that question, so people know that you don't have to just be in super deep trance, and you can still hear, you can still have some awareness. You may not remember everything, obviously, but it's so important to emphasize that for the new people that are starting out, and that definitely is a question that they ask. So I know that you have sitters sitting for you. So this would be a question. Are there signs that sitters can observe? I mean, I'm sure you've sat and sat for somebody else, I'm thinking. Is there something that you can observe when you know a person's going into trance? Are there signs? Physical signs? You fought really?
I'm behind the curtain when we start. So when they pull the curtain back, I'm in wherever I'm supposed to be. I may not be as deep as I'll get that night, but as far as looking at other people, I would just, I'll be honest, if I looked at them, I would say, oh, they're going into trance, or they're not all there. I could see like the energy coming out of their head. That's my clairvoyance. So I don't know what to say about telltale signs. I would say the person, maybe they close their eyes and they look like they're sleeping. Maybe they look zoned out. You ever watch a lot of mediums work? We look at above the person instead of looking them at the eye when we're doing the platform. So those are our signs.
It's actually really good you said that, because when I watch somebody going to trance, I actually see that. I might not like pay attention to like the eyes fluttering. I think I should maybe, but certain things, but I always see the energy moving like out, so yeah, you're the first person that has mentioned that. And
the other things like the eye fluttering, or some, was it Leslie Flint would cough a little bit. My memory's really awful. That's all, I think, individual.
Yeah.
Depending on the person. Whereas, if you're going into trance, every single person, their energy is expanding. So that would be universal.
Yeah.
But if, I have only been to, I've been to a few sittings, but there wasn't really an opportunity to sit with anyone. I mean, talk about the ISIS. When I started out, I said, it's the blind leading the blind.
That's what everybody says, because they're like just experimenting and just sitting, and they're just learning as they go and then incorporating different things. So I like how you said the blind leading the blind. I mean, it really is sometimes with me members
there's no workshops around here.
Yeah.
I mean, they have them at England. And I went to Banyan, but they ended up being partly mental. I really wanted just physical, because I've read books, there was material covered in my Morris Pratt, and I've read a lot of books on my own from physical mediums, and I try to learn that way through thanks to you, Kathy, I've got Zoom, so I can participate in some of these online things. Okay, so thank you. But that's really that's why for like the last year, I'm starting to wonder, am I doing the correct thing? Maybe I should, because I can't get my trumpet up. I said I need Viagra for a physical medium.
And the reason why the interviews is because, like you said, like there's not so much information. I mean, there's interviews and, talking about, they're sharing their story and stuff, but to ask those other questions, these questions I'm asking you that everybody has answered in a different way or added something new, they actually help a person in their circle, because, I've talked to so many people that they have no idea what they're doing, or they're getting bits and pieces of information here. So they always say it's an experiment, but they love listening to the interviews and, people sharing their experiments and their experiences, because it really has helped them. So I think that and that's why, again, I'm so grateful for you to share your story here with us. But I do have a question. This is a question that so many people have messaged me. Have you ever experienced side effects coming out of a trance? Maybe coming out too soon? Some people said they felt very sick. Have you experienced anything like that?
No. The only thing I experienced, first of all, leading up to sitting, and also, platform mediumship. It used to, when I was going to do an event, I would feel the same thing. I get a little bit of spacey. Not so much. I've done a lot of events now, platform. So it doesn't affect me as strongly as it did in the beginning. It's like learning push-ups. Same thing with the trance. I do get a little spacey leading up to it. I try not to schedule anything I need to be to. I don't balance the checkbook leading up to trance. And then, especially if I go a little bit deeper, if I'm stretching. Thank you, Spirit. Again, when it takes me a minute. I can't jump up, and I don't break trance down. I set the room up, but I'm still in a zone when they're breaking everything down. And I'm like a little spacey, but then I'm together because I got to drive home. I don't know how I feel very complete and together. And then when I get home, I might feel a little, gee, I'm kind of tired. And the next day, like when the chair moved that night, the next day, it wasn't until 3:00 in the afternoon that I really felt myself again.
Wow.
It was like, I was not immobilized, but I knew my energy was
gotten big.
Yeah, if you saw me, you would have been like, Witchbrook, you're spreading yourself all over the place. But it was just because, did I feel it? I thought it was fine. It's just, what you go, I didn't feel it bad. I've never felt sick from trance. I like it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I think there was a couple of members that experienced like really being really sick. And, I'm over here messaging all the, the past guests that I've interviewed and like, what should they do? What should they do? And it was always like, definitely come back slow, very, very slow. If you, try to come back really quick and get up, your energy could, I don't know, and have that experience. So, but I do like to ask that just in case there's something that you found that worked or, you experienced.
Well, the other thing is sometimes when you're sitting physical, the solar plexus, some people feel nauseous. Okay. So, you want to close that puppy down, put your hands there, maybe eat something light if you're feeling the nausea, because some people do. It's like when they're sitting for mental development, sometimes they get the psychic headache because they've been using the third eye. Have you heard about that? What I'm talking about?
Yes.
So definitely be hydrated. And then check, I'm hearing from Spirit, because I read the Robin Foy book and it talked about the vitamins. Oh. And I talked to somebody else about it too. So I include a potassium supplement now, because I do drink a lot of water. Whenever you see me anywhere, you'll see my bottles of water. I fill it up all the day. I don't fill up our Lance, the place where they put the bottles. That's the new place. But vitamin supplements, help. So check and see, you know, because they deplete certain minerals and things in your body when you're doing this work. But the same as if you were a marathon runner. If you're running marathons, you know, you need an influx of electrolytes. Mm-hmm. So it's not anything bad, but you might need to make sure you are hydrated enough. Then if you're drinking a lot of water, are you making sure you have enough potassium? Because that's, you know.
Comes out, yeah. And that actually
magnesium is another one you need.
I did hear that. I did hear about making sure you're the minerals and the vitamins and making sure you're, you know, maybe topping that off or and definitely drinking the water for sure.
The other thing, I don't know, but I start working out at the gym a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. I do it not only because you have significant arthritis, but also so I'm in better shape to be a better instrument, particularly for the trance. I just felt that, you know,
oh no, I think
your
right.
health is probably best for spirit. So, you know, maybe look at your nutrition, your exercise, and overall general health plan.
Oh no, I think you're right. I think that's great advice. So we are actually getting towards the end. Is there any final advice that you would give somebody either forming their own circle or just starting out to sit for development, whether that's for trance or physical? Any words of wisdom that you could give?
Okay. For trance, you can sit one-on-one. All right. And so therefore it's a lot, you know, if you want to start developing, don't worry if you don't have 5 people who can dedicate a particular night several times a month. Find one buddy and you can sit one-on-one. That was the advice given to me. And then the physical really started developing because it was Tony Stockwell. He told me to start sitting for trance and my mental mediumship would improve. So always wanting to give the best I can to my peoples, my clients, the people that come see me. That's what kind of started it too. And then the physical was developing, which is why they built me the cabinet. But you can find one-on-one. Number 2, Kathy, wonderful thing is you showed me the Zoom. I had to get Zoom in order to do this with you. All right. And I was in the Zoom meeting this past week with another group, and they have these little rooms. I said, awesome, you can sit in a Zoom thing, or just like you and I are doing. We could literally sit and do trance together online. Yes. So don't be discouraged if you don't have a whole group or you don't even have one person who can physically come to you. So you can always sit for trance. Now, I don't know about the physical. People were making comments that you can do. I saw somebody's going to try physical online. I want to try it. All right.
You've got to see some of the interviews. So I believe it's Joe Bradley. She does a lot. She does a lot of experiments with that online, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
But is she sitting in a?
She is sitting. She's the physical medium, and
the other players are in there.
Are in there in online.
So I'd love to try that because again, you know, you went to the dentist. I got Zoom, and I learned how to use it. I'm a bullwinkle, and I've had more problems with the computer lately than I'd like to admit. So for people starting out, definitely go ahead and try your one-on-one with the trance. Try some of these online. I don't know how they work. I want to learn myself now that I have the instrument to do that. And do a lot of reading and watching interviews like you're doing. And thank you for doing this, Kathy, because I wish I'd been aware of this 4 years ago. I've been systematically going and watching the different videos of the different people that you've had, and I find it so informative. But try it. And I mean, the ultimate, honestly, is if they do have a little group of 3 or 4 even that can meet consistently in person, that's the ultimate. Not only just because you're together too. I mean, my group and I, we don't always see each other, but we do see each other at trance. So it's as much as being able to have a reason to sit together. Kind of, it's like when I had a tease that I fired my daughter because she, couldn't make the meetings. But honestly, I mean, as excited as I was for her, she made tour choir. I really enjoyed having her. It was a mommy-daughter thing, Some people go out for ice cream. Well, we sat for spirit.
Oh, that's so
embroidery, activity. So I do miss her presence. She's going to be singing at the Vatican, so she can come back.
Oh.
So, but yeah, go ahead, try it, and then have somebody you can write to or a contact in the event you have a bad experience, particularly if you have any fears. All right, now see, I don't have that many fears of this because I wasn't exposed to it growing up.
Yeah.
So, I don't have much knowledge of it either. I've had to learn from the ground up, but I didn't have the fears implanted that many people have, that, that they have to overcome because other people were afraid and that's what they taught them. So that's like,
and that's a big thing, so all these people, all the interviews and learning and educating yourself and changing the belief system. But it is one of those things that you have to work through. It's your own self and your own fear and going through it and sitting and finally being able to release all of it. You'll feel it'll be so different. And I'm saying that because even in the beginning for me, I did have that with, and it was my own journey of having to release that fear. So, the education and the understanding and having, like you said, being able to talk to somebody about it, to work through it. So I think it's beautiful. But Ryan, I keep saying Ryan. I want to say Ryan Winter Brook. I'm so sorry. Winter, I want to thank you so very much to be here with us. You're now in that library of beautiful souls, helping others. And the trance, the physical mediumship, the reason why the interviews are here and that they're being done is to help others. To overcome fears, to not walk blindly into their own circles and not sure and not know. I'm so grateful to you to do this for us. And I want to let the members know that a lot of the photos that we were talking about, I believe it's the photo with Winter with the rat, her cabinet, and also I think we have maybe a couple in there with how the sitters are put in as the audience, or how you formed all the chairs, right?
Yeah, I had 2 setups.
Yeah. So I want to definitely include that. So definitely check that out. And also to connect with Winter, it is winterbrookpsychicmedium.com. So check that out, and that will be in the comments. And geez, all of a sudden I'm getting like a little tickle in my throat. So Winter, thank you for being with us, sharing your beautiful story. I loved hearing everything that you do, the work that you do. And again, so very grateful to you.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope something I've said helps somebody. And
it's totally going to. So
I hope so. But thank you for listening, everyone, for those that are listening. And thanks, Kathy, for doing this, not only for me, but all the interviews, because I am finding them so helpful. And it's a lot of work on your side. And so thank you.
Oh my God, thank you. Oh, and I'm so grateful. So Winter, you have a fabulous rest of your day, and everybody look forward. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Either Winter or myself will hopefully get to them as soon as we can. But everybody have a great day. Thank you again. Bye, guys.